Hi there, and welcome to Hillcrest Connects, where we want to share with you what it means to meet together as we see God working in our congregation. Today I have with me Carrie McDonald. She's part of the Supportive Learning Program at Roy Wilson School. Thanks for being here with us today.
Happy to be here.
So Carrie, share with us how COVID-19 has affected you.
Well, I think for me, there's two parts to it. One being professionally, it's very different working in the field of education. That first Monday when we went into school and the building is empty, just adults, it was a very unsettling feeling, and you could feel the environment and the staff. And, it's hard image seeing that empty place we're used to being with the students. And so I think the thing that really hit me that first day was sort of that reminder that we're created for community, not for being confined from one another. And so it was a very interesting day for me, just going around talking to colleagues. And it was an interesting opportunity as well, just in this unique platform, to be able to sort of bring some comfort to people and bring with me the Spirit of Christ, and being able to minister to people in that professional setting when we don't normally have that opportunity. And so it was very challenging, but also very rewarding, I guess the word is, to be able to bring some comfort to other people. And then as the weeks have unfolded, being able to connect with students over the phone has been just brought a lot of joy to me. And even in that, writing notes and sending them to students, letting them know I'm thinking of them. And I had a colleague that she'd said, "Oh, what are you doing just now?" And I said, "Oh, I'm going to make some cards for students." And she said, "Oh, I think maybe I'll do that with you." And so she came in my little classroom and she was writing them, and then she was just kind of brought to tears and said, "I just thank you for doing that," because she said, "That's really healing for me. I wouldn't have thought to do that, but to feel like I'm reaching out and still feeling connected." So on a professional level, it's finding those ways to connect with the families and the students. And then on a personal level, again, it comes back to that part about wanting community with one another. And I'm so used to having regular people that I connect with face to face, and finding that new normal of connecting through text message, phone calls, Zoom, through work with colleagues, through Google Meet. And so that's a whole different world for me, because I'm not a techie person. So I've had to learn on a quick curve how to keep those relationships connected and constant.
Right. So share with me some of the specific challenges that you face that you have seen God overcome.
So one part, again, back to professionally, that's been a really big challenge for me, is in the particular role that I have in my job. I get the opportunity each day to meet a lot of practical needs of students, whether that be they come without a lunch or they've come without breakfast. They maybe just need a little extra care and attention in the morning, and that opportunity to connect. And so now, of course, it's finding new ways to be able to meet those needs without them coming to me and without having that face-to-face connection. Right. So it's about like those daily check-ins or weekly check-ins with different students or families, and trying to find, is there a way to drop something off on the doorstep, or is there some way that I can meet that need? And so mostly it's really caused me each day to really be, before I go into work each day, taking that extra care to pray and say, "God, how should I use my time today? Who do I need to make sure I connect with, whether that's a staff or a student?" Because each day, of course, we always want to make our time God's time. Right. But in this particular, it's wanting to be so tuned into how can He use me. And so I've found some unique opportunities where I've been able to, say, leave something at a doorstep or deliver something, or through a phone call, or those kinds of opportunities. And then a really neat thing is I was really, it's very sad for me that we can't meet as a church family and come on Sunday. And then my ladies' Bible study group, when this all unfolded, it was right. We were supposed to have our wrap up the week that we needed to follow those rules for a good reason, to keep everybody safe and healthy, but it's still a sad thing, and I missed that connection. So right away, I was kind of just praying and saying to God, how can I still have this connection with these women? We've built friendship and relationship and been a support to one another. And so just through technology, was able to divide us into groups of 10, and we just started a prayer chain with one another. And so it was so neat within hours of starting the prayer chain and people chiming in saying, I'll pray for that, or even texting in their prayer or messaging in their prayer. And then within hours of it, them messaging us back and saying, oh, the Lord's answered that prayer. There was one lady who one of her family members was traveling, and one of their flights, the country it stopped in, they were told, sorry, you're going to need to stay here. And it was a young fellow, young adult, and knew nobody in the country. And it was just kind of like, sorry, this is your stopping point. And so she was very fearful. How is he going to get to his home again? And then by the next day, she was able to message us and say, thank you all for praying. They actually were able to figure out how to get him home. And then another lady who she had messaged in, it was going to be her last day at work. And then she messaged us the next day saying, the Lord's opened the door and I'm able to stay for at least one more week. And so seeing just answers to prayer so quickly. And I think for me, the biggest thing I've seen God really do is, I think we always are, individually praying, but I think one of the biggest things I've seen this do is cause us to reach out to one another consistently with our prayer requests, and then being able to share in those praise reports of look what God has done. And so I think even just for me personally, right now, the season we're in, I'm daily connecting with people about prayer, which is, I don't think I did that before. It would maybe be once a week or on a Sunday or at your small group or Bible study. But right now, I feel like it's consistently, and not just daily, but multiple points in the day. So I really have felt so encouraged. I feel like God is really calling us into a season of prayer, and to see people just like with open arms, just embrace that and walk into it and be so encouraged. That's been phenomenal, I think.
So do you have something that you feel God has been speaking to your heart that you'd like to share with the church?
I think the biggest thing that's really sort of resonated with me lately for myself, and that I've just been encouraging other people that I come into contact with, is as we're kind of called to confine right now, and as I say, that's necessary and so important that we do what we're being asked to do. But at the same time, as I was saying earlier, we're created for community. So now we have to be so purposeful about maintaining connection. It'd be very easy for us just to wait and say, oh, hopefully in a few weeks' time or a month's time, we'll be able to gather together. But right now, we don't know what that looks like. And so it's about seizing the opportunity to keep the connection and being so mindful, make those phone calls, send a note in the mail, call a friend up, offer to pray, see who needs help, and just really reaching out to our church family and our neighbors and our coworkers, and just saying, really, it's so easy to quickly walk by a person and say, how are you today? And keep going. And that's a thing I've been so mindful that when I'm asking people, oh, how are you today? To actually really stop and make that eye contact and say, how are you? And really engage that answer. And if they're not doing well, to really take that time, and even just offering people who maybe don't have a faith in Christ yet, to be offering to pray for them. And I had such a neat opportunity where a nurse, just that I'm friends with in community, and she had reached out to me just to see how I was doing, and she had shared some of her struggles, and I just had messaged back a prayer for her. And I was so overwhelmed with joy that she texted back and said, thank you for your prayers. And for us to really step out in this time too and realize it's an opportunity and we need to take hold of it, and really remember that although we're not inside the church, it's never been about the building, and that we're the church outside these walls.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thanks, Carrie, for sharing with us today. And thank you for joining with us. To stay connected with us, join us on Realm or follow us on social media. Or you can always check us out on our website, hillcrestchurch.net.